Are you wondering how to get started with ECMAScript 6? This video lecture might be just what you're looking for. Hello everyone. Welcome to the online Node.js programming tutorial series from W3 Grads. In this video, we will learn about ECMAScript 6 syntax. So, let's get started. The syntax is the set of rules which defines the arrangements of symbols. Every language specification has its own syntax. Syntax applies to programming languages in which the document represents the source code and also applies to markup languages in which the document describes the data. The program within the JavaScript consists of literals, variables, keywords, operators, comments, and identifiers. Let's look at each of them. The first one to begin with is literal. A literal can be defined as a notation for representing the fixed value within the source code. Generally, literals are used for initializing the variables. In the example shown here, you can see the use of literals in which one represents the integer literal, and the string, hello, is a string literal. The second one is variable. A variable is the storage location that is identified by the memory address. The variable is the name of a memory block that stores the values for the program. The name of the variable is the standard way of referencing the stored value. Third one is keywords. In computer programming, a keyword is a word that has a special meaning in a specific context. It cannot be used as an identifier like the variable name, function name, or label. The next one is the operators. Operators are symbols that define the processing of operands. Some of the common examples of operators include arithmetic, logical operators, etc. Another one is the comments. Comments are the programmer-readable annotations in the source code of a computer program. They are added to make the source code easy to understand for humans. They increase the readability of code and are ignored by the compilers and interpreters. JavaScript supports two types of comments, which are multi-line and single-line comments. The multi-line comments are used for commenting on the multiple lines. Here is an example of multi-line comment in JavaScript. It begins with a forward slash and an asterisk, and ends with an asterisk followed by the forward slash. Also, there are single-line comments, which are used to comment on the single line. Here is an example of single-line comments in JavaScript. It consists of a pair of forward slashes. The next one is the identifiers. Identifiers are the names given to elements within a program, such as functions, variables, etc. There are some rules for the identifiers that are listed here. Identifiers do not include any special symbol except the $sign, or underscore. The identifier name must not be a keyword. Identifiers include the characters as well as digits. But you cannot start the name of the identifier with a digit. Identifiers are case-sensitive and do not contain spaces. For example, in this example, you will see the example of a valid and invalid declaration of identifiers. Apart from the identifiers, there are line breaks and whitespaces also. ECMAScript 6 ignores the tabs, spaces, and the newlines that appear in the programs. We can use the tabs, spaces, and newlines easily in the program and free to format and indent the program in a reliable manner, which increases the readability of the code and makes it easy to understand. There are some important points in the reference of JavaScript which we need to look at. The first one is the JavaScript in camel case. JavaScript programmers should use the lower camel case, which starts with lowercase. For example, username, first name, city name, etc. It is to be noted that hyphens are not allowed in JavaScript, because hyphens are reserved for subtractions. The second point is, JavaScript is case-sensitive. The identifiers in JavaScript are case-sensitive. It means that uppercase characters and lowercase characters are different in JavaScript. For example, username and username, both are the different variables in JavaScript. The third point is, semicolons are optional. The use of semicolons is optional in JavaScript. But if a single line has multiple statements, or you can say, the sequence of instructions, then, these statements must be separated by the semicolons. For example, if you have only one statement written as shown here, then putting a semicolon at the end will be optional. However, if you have more than one statement written in the same line, as shown here, then, it must to separate each of these statements with semicolons. Now, let's look at what is the strict mode in ECMAScript 6. The strict mode was introduced in ECMAScript 5. You can use this strict mode in all of your programs. It will help you to write clean code, like preventing you from using undeclared variables. Let's take a look at some of the advantages of using strict mode. There are several changes that strict mode makes to normal JavaScript semantics. The strict mode prohibits some of the syntaxes, which is likely to be defined within the future versions of ECMAScript. Strict mode removes some of the JavaScript silent errors by changing them to throw errors. The strict mode also fixes the mistakes, which makes it difficult for the JavaScript engines to perform optimizations, so the strict mode sometimes makes to run faster compared to the identical mode. Now that we know the advantages of strict mode, we must also see how the strict mode is declared. You can declare the strict mode by adding use strict at the beginning of a function or a script. When you declare it at the beginning of the script, then it will be a global scope, which means that all code within the script will execute in the strict mode. The example shows the declaration of strict mode at the beginning of the script. When you will execute this script, you will get an error because you have not declared the variable x. In addition to this, when you declare it inside the function, then it will be a local scope, which means that the code within the function will be in strict mode. For example, in this script, the strict mode is declared within the function, so the statement y equal to 89 will not cause any error. However, the statement x equal to 89 will cause an error. At last, it is also worth knowing about ES6 and hoisting. Hoisting is the default behavior to move all of the declarations at the top of the scope before the execution of code. It applies to functions and variables. It allows the JavaScript to use the component before its declaration. Hoisting does not apply to scripts that run in strict mode. So, this is all about the ES6 syntax. I hope you have understood the syntax of ES6 well. So, keep learning, and I will see you next time. Until then, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and press the bell icon for more video updates. Thank you for watching this video.